welcome to the Pikeville City Managers Report. I'm your host, Jill Fraley-Dotson, welcoming you to today's show. Of course, as always, pleasure to have Pikeville City Manager Philip Ellswick joining us. Good day, sir.
Hello, Jill. Thank you.
Always a fun time when we get together and discuss the great things going on in the city of Pikeville. We have a big list to discuss today, some new things, some great opportunities, and bringing folks up to speed on what's been going on. So first on our agenda today, we're going to talk about the Fiber to the Premise project, which equals broadband.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about that project and what it all entails.
Yeah, this started with the Kentucky Wired project, where the state is delivering gigabit service throughout the state, and the city decided that it was in the best interest of our citizens and the future of the city to provide that service to every home and residence and business within the city limits. So, you know, we've always been a progressive community, and we're continuing to do that and see the future and try to prepare for that. But essentially, that will provide everyone in town with gigabit service if they so desire that.
So let's stop right there just a second. Gigabit service. If I'm a homeowner, I know basic, I just want to use my computer and my wireless devices. What is gigabit service?
Well, that's extremely fast service that most residences would not need. So, you know, for instance, I have a service in Pikeville and I have 15 megabytes per second, which is more than sufficient for me. So most folks would not want gigabit service. They would need something far less, but businesses especially, or a computer programmer working out of their home, or somebody that's building apps, things of that nature, would certainly want that service.
Okay. So
businesses that are uploading documents and downloading documents would be more of a user of that than a residence per se. So anyway, it's especially attractive for millennials as they move away from cable TV and start streaming and being online more often. So we're seeking to provide that service, and there'll be different levels, like I mentioned, 15, 100 megabytes per second, whatever, that individuals could choose from. So that's where we are.
But it really, as you mentioned, millennials, but certainly a great benefit for everybody in the city of Pikeville to be able to use. Maybe, and they would expand upon their use of the internet or streaming, or they may even want to create apps, you never know. But certainly a wonderful benefit if you live in the city. When you look around, our Pikeville Police Department does so much other than just patrolling events and patrolling the streets. They are so involved in so many things. I know they have an annual review that comes up, and that has happened. So let's talk a little bit about how well they're doing. And then I want to go into the topic of school safety. With the recent school shootings, we are starting to implement more policies and procedures with our school system. So let's first talk about the review, and then we'll get into the school safety part.
Yeah, Pikeville's very blessed with our police department. We have excellent leadership with our Public Safety Commissioner, Philip Reed, and our City Police Chief, Chris Edmonds. And they just lead a remarkable department with several great officers. And I would compare our department to anyone in the state, and I feel like we'd be head and shoulders above. But in the last year, that police department's had a number of accomplishments. We have gone to having a laptop computer in every car, so that when they pull someone over, they can know immediately who it is and what warrants they have, and whatever the case may be. They have also expanded their outreach programs that they do every year. Their Christmas with a First Responder that they do in conjunction with the fire department, purchasing school supplies. They've added some additional events to raise additional funds for that. So this year, for the first time, they provided school supplies to not only kids in the city schools, but also in the county schools, and spent over $8,000 doing that. They've reinstituted the bicycle patrol, which is great for patrolling neighborhoods, residential areas, events. It's especially helpful during events when we have Main Street Live or Hillbilly Days, or when things are congested and hard to get vehicles around. And then we have a 4.5 minute response time. So if you call the dispatch center needing something, on average, a police officer will be there in 4.5 minutes. Now, the vast majority of our calls are answered within less than 4 minutes, and a very large percentage in less than a minute. So that's on average, and you know, we have our city limits extends from the airport to Ford's Branch now. So closer to town, they're going to be there much sooner. So last year they answered over 12,000 calls for service, and they opened over 700 cases. So, you know, stolen property, whatever the case may be, opened a case for that and cleared 69% of those. So they closed. Almost 3/4 of the cases they opened, which is far and above what the rest of the cities in the state accomplished. So they have an excellent program there, and they continue to expand and do great things for the city.
Yeah, I know it's easy when you have big events like Hillbilly Days, for instance, is coming up in April, to see the number of officers that we have, and you may not realize that we have that many officers on staff. That, like you said, our city limits goes from the airport to Ford's Branch, so that is a massive, really amount of property for a group of people to cover. How many do we have?
There's 21 police officers
on staff,
and like you mentioned, Hillbilly Days, they'll all be working.
Oh yes,
because we like to have a large presence there and be visible to the folks in town.
And it's very reassuring to know and to see that visibility when you're in a large event like that, and we all know that Hillbilly Days is just a massive, massive event, so look forward to that. One of the things that I know that you've been talking with them about, and they've been implementing in the last even week or so, more so, since the recent school shootings in Texas and California and in Florida most recently, such a disturbing thing. You know, we have a couple schools. We have our high school and our elementary school right here in the city limits that we've never really had a large a time that we've needed officers there, but that's going to change.
Yeah, you know, with the number of shootings, sadly, it's time for, even here in Pikeville, we need to look for ways that our police can better protect our schools and provide more safety there. So they've been working with Superintendent Green and the Board of Education to explore ways that we can be of service to them. And then we also have offered them a number of suggestions about things that they can do better. You know, they do an excellent job protecting the students there, of course, but with anything we can do things better. And so they've provided some suggestions about their security, exterior security, door locks and things of that nature. And then we're also going to have officers in the school on a daily basis. So especially when kids are coming to school and leaving school, there'll be 2 officers in each building every day. We do walkthroughs throughout the day just to make sure that everything's safe, but we're going to increase the number of those. So our officers are going to be far more visible in our schools on a daily basis. So the kids are going to see them more, and they do anyway, but it's going to be there more often, so be better protected. And then they're also working with the schools. The schools have expressed some interest in having cameras that feed directly into our dispatch center. So all day long, our dispatchers will have access to those cameras and be watching them on a screen. So, you know, at a split second's notice, we can dispatch officers there if needed.
Like you said too, they've already been visible in the schools for a number of years. Just going to pick that visibility up a little bit, and no doubt it will make the administration, the teachers, and the students, and especially the parents, feel better about having officers there. You know, during the time of the school day. So, a wonderful opportunity there to make sure that everybody feels as safe as they possibly can. Boards and commissions, attendance ordinance, we've talked about this before. Bring us up to date.
Yeah, the city has dozens of boards and commissions. Some of those are joint with other communities like Elkhorn City or the county. And each of those boards have some function that they provide for the city. And some of them meet on a regular basis and some of them meet only when needed. But regardless, the folks that are on those boards need to be there for them to function and for the people's business to be done. So the city instituted an amendment, or an ordinance, amending another ordinance that requires board members to attend those meetings and establishes some thresholds for attendance. So if someone misses consecutive meetings or they don't attend, if they attend less than 75% of the meetings in a 12-month year, then we're going to assume you have resigned your position and the commission will appoint someone new to that board. So we've just formalized that policy, and we're just trying to seek folks that can and will participate so that the boards can function.
Yeah, we talked about that during our last visit when we sat down and talked about it. There are so many, and if you're going to agree to serve, then you need to be there.
Absolutely.
So that's what that's for. Kentucky Enterprise Industrial Park, one of the gems that we have right now that we talk about so much. And we're having a spec building there. So construction update, please.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the 60,000 square foot building we talked about before, and Silver Liner will be that tenant. Well, when we began construction there, we anticipated that it was about an 18-month construction period. Well, the contractor is well ahead of schedule and will likely be done in the latter part of this year. So If you've been on the site last month compared to now, you maybe haven't seen a lot of difference, but there's been a lot of work done that's not visible now. So that building should start coming out of the ground in the next few weeks, and it'll progress quickly. We're excited to have that open.
Yeah, and the last we spoke, Silver Liner, I believe, is already accepting applications.
They are, absolutely.
And Inner Blue as well.
Yes. That's
So
right.
just because the building's not there yet doesn't mean that they don't have their feet on the ground working really hard to make sure
absolutely.
the
Both of
employment's there.
Both of those companies are working with Big Sandy Community College and UPike to establish academic programs that they need. They're also accepting applications, like you mentioned, and recruiting people.
Yeah, there's an abandoned mine lands grant too that's being utilized.
That's the same grant that we use for the spec building. And recently we were notified we were awarded 2 additional grants to build 2 more buildings in the park, one for Inner Blue and then one for App Harvest. So we'll be beginning that process soon, and in the near future, hopefully by the summer, we'll have 3 construction projects ongoing there.
Yeah. Last time when Sean was with us, we discussed pretty at length that a lot of the property at the industrial park is currently occupied or will be occupied soon. There's small parcels that are available. Any more interest in those smaller parcels of land?
Yeah, Sean's been working with a company that is interested in one of the parcels, and we hope to have an announcement in the next few months about that. Certainly something we can't talk about now. But,
right.
So yeah, there has been interest from other companies.
As you came into this position, I know the Kentucky Industrial Park, or Enterprise Park rather, has been something that has been ongoing for a number of years. When you took over the position and knew that we had tenants that had shown a lot of interest, did you ever imagine this soon into the process that we would have most of that land taken?
No, I really didn't. You know, Kentucky Power had hired a consultant to come here and examine industrial parks, and they had advised us that it would take 5 years to fill our park. Well, we've filled it in less than a year. So no, nobody saw that coming. We've just been very blessed, and with a lot of hard work, we've accomplished that.
Also a great problem, if you will, to have to try to seek out more property so we can expand maybe even to another industrial park.
Absolutely, yeah, we're working on that now.
The mini park is something that we spoke about last time too, that is just by our beautiful Farmers Market Pavilion that will hopefully be opened up soon. We're all excited about that. But changes and updates to the mini park is something I know that you're really excited about. So let's update our audience on that.
Sure. A couple projects that we're doing at the mini park. One is to improve the playground and replace some of the older equipment that's there and provide newer, more up-to-date equipment, and also to provide some features for handicapped or kids or kids that aren't able to use the other equipment. So we want it to be accessible to everyone. And we'll have a number of different features there for kids of all accessibilities. And then we're working on the bathrooms as well. Those bathrooms have not been remodeled in some time, and we're upgrading those to make them handicap accessible, ADA compliant. And they also serve the farmers market. So there's multiple needs there that we're seeking to meet.
As I mentioned, when the farmers market opens, when the weather breaks, it just like people flood to that area. And it's interesting to see, and sometimes you forget how the park and the facilities there are utilized, because there are so many people at the park. And I know when I go, I have a 3-year-old, so she's always, you know, she'll go to the farmers market, but she wants to, I mean, her part of the deal is to get to go to the playground.
Absolutely.
And it's just a wonderful, and you know, you get to see the river from there, and you get all the facilities. So going to be a wonderful opportunity for parents to utilize the park and the facilities just a little bit more.
Absolutely.
When they're in the area. We have had a lot of rain.
We have.
No secret there. And forecasted some more. In recent weeks, we had to erect the floodgate for only the second time since it was put into position. Always a scary time, a time when a lot of people are very anxious about what's going to happen, lots of anxiety involved. But I tell you, when you go over there and you see the crews putting up that gate, they're trained on it extensively, but when it comes time to have it for a major purpose, it really is something to watch. And putting it up, I know, is something that we never want to do, but certainly we're thankful that we have. Right.
Yeah, our fire department manages our flood control project in the city, so the ponds and the floodgates, and they train on that extensively, like you said. And fortunately, we've only had to put that up twice. Never really been used, just as a precaution. And they can do that in less than 30 minutes, and they had a lot of assistance from other agencies this year. So we're very blessed with that. But the Corps, United States Army Corps of Engineers, manages, of course, the flood control, but they have a policy in place that when the river reaches 38 feet, that we are required to install the floodgate. So that's what we did, and as you know, this year there was really no danger of any homes or anything, businesses being flooded at that stage of the river, but we're required to do that. And we hope to be talking to them in the future about maybe adjusting that as it becomes more, as flooding becomes more imminent to do that rather than do it so soon.
Was it 2013 or 2014 that we did it the first time?
Right.
And that was after a large snow, and then the rain came, and it was almost like the perfect storm of everything. And it seemed as though even at that point, the river appeared higher to me when you look at it as opposed to this time, because it was almost right at 23.
Exactly.
So the danger then, I think, was a little greater than this time.
Absolutely.
But it did reach that flood stage.
Yep.
Yeah. So people that live, in Lower Bowls and in the Walmart community over by the Commons, on the back side of the Commons,
absolutely, yeah,
were very, very scared. So
yeah. Well, hopefully we won't have the rains like that again for a long time.
Yeah, so. Fingers are crossed. On to something a little bit happier than floods. Our Pikeville varsity cheerleaders from Pikeville High School really accomplished something this year that no one, and to my knowledge, for their division has ever done before. They are back to back national champions for their division during for UCA collegiate or high school competition. Something that is amazing.
It is amazing
to think that they were able to do that at such a large event and by such a large margin that they won. But I know the City Commission has made a proclamation for them again.
Right. The Commission always seeks to recognize sports teams or other teams at the school, organizations at the school that have achieved something to be recognized.
Right.
So on Monday night at the Commission meeting, we'll have the cheerleaders there, and we'll present them with the proclamation and just honor them for their accomplishment. Yeah. It's certainly something to be celebrated.
When you get to watch them perform and you see the routine they did at the competition in Florida, the amount of athleticism in that group of ladies is mind-blowing. They're so strong and they can do so many things, and they're so disciplined in their craft. It really is something to watch, and we're very, very proud of them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, we always want to talk about new businesses coming to the downtown area, and certainly unique businesses that we might not have, and also using unique homes or buildings in the downtown area that may at one point might have been considered to be torn down.
Right.
But instead it was restored, thank goodness. So we are happy to announce that the York House, which has gone through major renovation, is now going to be Spoiled Rotten Children's Boutique.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that business.
Yeah, the York House was home to the Biblical Archaeology exhibit for some time, and when that moved out, we began looking at ways we could utilize the York House. So the Commission decided that it should be a business, or possibly be used for a business, as we've done with other buildings that the city owns in town. So we issued a request for proposals for potential businesses to respond and show us what their business plan is and be considered for a lease for that building. Well, the first round, we really didn't get a business that we believed was the right fit for that facility in that area of town. So we issued a second RFP, and we received a response from Spoiled Rotten Children's Boutique, which the Commission found to be the perfect business or type of business for that facility. So we have issued them a lease. It's a 5-year lease. The first 3 years they have rent for $1 per year, and it's really an incubation space time to get their business up and running, and then the lease price increases over time. But we're excited that that's going to be there. We think it's a great addition to our city, and they are expecting to open in mid-May. So.
You have two lovely ladies that have come together that are going to put that business in there, and I can't think of two better people to do that. And they will protect the integrity of the home too. And I know that's something really important to the Commission as well.
We spent a significant amount of money restoring that home and getting it back to its historical nature, and we are pleased with the tenants that we'll have. And additionally, they are going to operate a tourist stop so to speak, for us, where people can stop and get brochures and ask directions and get maps and things of that nature. That's certainly something that we've needed in town. As our tourism industry grows, and it is growing, thankfully, we need somewhere we can direct people to get that information.
Yeah.
So.
It's a perfect match.
It is.
Grant writing is something that a lot of people have an interest in but don't know how to do it.
Right.
So there's going to be a grant writing workshop very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. In April, it's April the 7th. The city is sponsoring a grant writing workshop for all organizations, especially nonprofit organizations that need assistance learning how to write a grant. It's being done as a service. And as I said, it's on the 7th of April at 10 a.m. at the Expo Center. And they'll be discussing a number of different aspects of grant writing, including how to get your nonprofit certification, planning for those, how to manage the funds once you get them, what you have to do to administer them, be reimbursed, how to write the proposals. So just the whole gamut of grant writing, and that's going to be led by Denise Thomas from the Big Sandy Area Development District, who has spent a career writing grants and administering them, and couldn't have a better facilitator for that.
Now, how does one get signed up for the event?
You need to contact Emily Fields. She's the city's grants administrator, and she will give you all the information you need and get you registered.
Very good. A wonderful opportunity for anybody if you need information about grant writing or want to learn more about it.
Absolutely.
We are entering some really busy months in the city of Pikeville. Right now we're in district tournament play. Regional tournament play is coming up the first week of March. Also at the same time as the Mid-South Conference, which now will be at the Expo Center. It's a 5-year deal, I believe.
It is.
So they'll be coming back. But a lot of other things coming to the Expo in the city.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're approaching time for Hillbilly Days, that time in April where we have hundreds of thousands of people who come to town, and we have a festival, and so we're excited about that. We're planning for that and ways to make it better than the last year, as we always do. As you mentioned, we have the basketball tournaments, and you know, Eastern Kentucky is certainly a basketball-rich area, and we're just really excited to be able to host those tournaments at the Expo. It's a great atmosphere. It's a great experience for the kids to play in an arena-type setting, and as you mentioned, for the first time, we're having the Mid-South Conference, and we're going to be doing those at the same time. So it's a great way for local athletes to be exposed to college coaches and possibly a scholarship.
And if you're a basketball fan, I can't think of a better way to spend your day, because the Mid-South will be played during the day.
Right.
And then the regional tournaments, boys and girls, will be held in the evening
That's
hours.
right.
So you can really just spend your entire day sitting and watching great basketball.
There's going to be a lot of basketball the first week of March.
There definitely is. Also, March 1st, the Harlem Globetrotters are coming, and then motocross, I always call it motocross will be March 30th and April 1st at the East Kentucky Expo Center. So never a lack of things to do, and I understand, of course, there's always things in the works.
Absolutely.
So listen up and stay tuned for concerts and other events that may be coming to the Expo Center, because I can promise you things are in the works.
That's right.
As we come to a close today, we've talked about a lot of different things, but I know as you go through the city and talk to residents and businesses on a daily basis, you know, you really get a feel for what's needed. And certainly the commission always wants to do what's on the top of everybody's mind. So I know that that's something that you want to make sure that everybody knows, that it's an open door. Come by and ask questions if you have concerns.
Yeah, all of our staff is accessible. And you're free to stop by my office, City Hall, and just talk to whoever you need to. And we're very interested in your thoughts and your ideas and implementing them for the city. So
I too, on occasion, have been with Mayor Carter and several of the commissioners at different events, and it's always nice to see when you have citizens of our city come up and congratulate them on maybe a new opening or something going on, or say, hey, thanks, we loved the Winterfest project, or we love what's coming to the city in the spring, and love to see everything change. Just the appreciation that our community has for what the commission does. And two, you know, there's some times that people think of things that they want to see happen. The commission is always open.
Absolutely, yeah. We're entering a season now. It's our budgeting season and our planning season, so it's a good time to be giving us your ideas and letting us see if we can work those into our plans.
Well, as always, we look forward to seeing what's next on the agenda for the city. We'll be meeting again next month.
Absolutely.
To update everyone, and undoubtedly we'll have new things and maybe some new announcements to make for our
Hopefully,
audience.
yeah.
Philip, great talking with you today.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you so much. This has been the Pikeville City Managers Report. Thank you so much for joining us.